Joining me now on the podcast, I have two of our illustrious teachers and tutors. I have Abhi and Alla. Both of you, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to have you both.
Thanks for having us, Josh.
It's lovely to be here.
As everyone knows, this is the second part of our 175 panel. I strongly encourage you to go and listen to Robert and Billy's episode if you have not yet. This came out a couple of weeks ago. Go give that a listen. This segment or the series is all about, really trying to help you unlock your biggest potential, right? And the biggest focus is obviously we're bringing some people who have scored in the 99.9th percentile to talk about that difference, because I think there's a lot of listeners who, and especially thanks to the Demon, are in that 165 to 170 range, and they're really, really excited, even 170 to 175, really excited, want to unlock the next level, want to get greedy. And so I'm really excited to have you both to talk a little bit more about what people can do. But I think a lot of this advice is going to be applicable for people who are across all score bands. And so wherever you're at, I think there's going to be something for you here, and super excited to get started. So first off, Obby, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll have you do so afterwards.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks again, Josh, for inviting us to this. Alla and I are both very, very excited. Hey, folks, I'm Obby. I'm a teacher and tutor here at the Demon, and I am a 177 scorer. I studied while I was working full-time. I was active duty military at the time. So, and Alla also worked while she studied. So happy to be a resource for anybody out there who's, curious about how to balance a schedule like that, or any veterans. Hit me up. I'm happy to walk you through it.
Awesome. Alla?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to be back on the podcast. I haven't been back on in a while. I started with a 145. I ended up with a 176. You forgot to say this, Abby. Abby is a 1L at Penn.
Oh, I forgot.
I know. I'm always going to remind you.
He's testing to see if they actually listen to Crushing 1L. That's what it is.
Yeah. Oh,
if they didn't know that, then that's a sign they're not listening to Crushing 1L.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm a 3L at Georgetown. I studied for the LSAT for a really long time. So Abby and I are going to give you like slightly, different ends of the spectrum. I think Abby also studied for a longer time than like most students think they have to study for the LSAT.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, how far can I get in 2 months is a question we get a lot. I wouldn't think about it that way. I wouldn't start. We'd reject the premise of the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I studied for a really long time. It took me like 2.5 years of actual studying over the course of an even longer period of time, 4 years, and ended up with a 176. I always tell students that I started law school the year I was supposed to graduate from law school, given my original timeline. It tends to give you a perspective of how, you can have a plan. We encourage you to have plans and goals, especially if they move you forward, but they shouldn't deprive you of getting your best outcome.
Love that. And honestly, I think that's a great jumping in point. Alla, you make a great point that students are often asking for that 6-month window. And it's funny because since working at the Demon, I hear Obby's story of 9 months and I go, oh, so you did it in like pretty normal amount of time.
Yeah.
Honestly, even like the low end in some cases. Like
Right.
I hear people do it in 6 months and I'm like, wow, congratulations. Like,
yeah, that's
you
why I
killed
was
it.
like, I was even thinking as I was talking, I was like, oh yeah, that's like 2 ends of the spectrum. But I was like, wait, I can't say that out loud because that's not necessarily what students are thinking about.
Yeah.
But I think Abby is actually on the much shorter end of the spectrum than like most people, especially to get to a score like that.
Right. Yes, I agree. Billy, maybe not the most representative. He was on a couple of weeks ago. I think he said he studied for like 3 months and then scored his 175 plus. And so there are students who do it, but it's not many of us. I studied for about 18 months off and on over the course of several years. And I often feel like I'm the average, which in this group I am. So it's confirming my beliefs. Obby, let's start with you talking a little bit about this 9-month stretch that we all consider to be on the shorter end a little bit. Tell me about that 9-month journey and,
Absolutely.
Committing to that in order to get the score that you got.
Yeah, and bottom line up front, when I mentioned 9 months and I was like, hey, I'm pretty proud of that, some students were like horrified. They're like,
yeah,
right, because they've been with the Demon for a week and they're like, I'm going to have to see your ugly mug every day
That's a
for 9
whole
months.
pregnancy worth of studying.
That's a whole human.
Yeah.
That's a human.
You
That's
can
a
produce
human.
a human in that time.
Yeah, exactly. Happy to talk about my story. My story is riddled with mistakes. So it's kind of a cautionary tale.
Okay.
Not all of us can be Billy.
Nope.
I've made this joke before, but he's handsome and smart. Come on, save some for the rest of us, Billy. Right? No, he crushed it, and he was on the shorter end for sure. I thought I was going to be like that, right? So
Mm.
actually, a buddy of mine recommended the Demon to me, and they said, "Hey, check this out. I know you're thinking about law school. The Demon is straightforward. There's no BS. They don't teach you tricks. They just support you on your journey. They help you grow and achieve the outcome you want by just doing the work," which really resonated with me because I love that kind of messaging. So March of 2022, I signed up for the Demon. I also, and this is the part that every Demon teacher is going to cringe when they hear it, right? I signed up for an official exam at the same time. So yeah, it's like, oh, that sucks, right? So yeah, I thought March, too easy. I'll take June. So I started with my 157 diagnostic and 3 months of like studying. I'll put that in quotes because it's unclear how consistent I was. I was active duty at the time. I was kind of willy nilly with it. 3 months later, I got a 163 on the June exam. So a few points better, but not quite where I wanted to be. So you'd think I would have learned my lesson. And then I go, okay, I need 3 more months with the Demon. Let me sign up for September. So I did the same thing twice. I just made the same mistake twice.
Yeah. Okay.
Signed up for the test, and that's exactly where my PTs were, right?
Mhm.
Like the 163, the mid 160s, that's where my PTs were. So that's what I should have expected. And so then when I signed up for the test again, and then I got the 168 in September, I shouldn't have been surprised because that's where my PTs were. So then I finally learned the lesson. After 6 months with the Demon, I finally started listening rather than just hearing the advice.
Mhm.
And so then I didn't sign up for the test until my PTs were good, or where I wanted them to be. And so a few weeks went by, and then I signed up for November and got my 177. So yeah, it took me in my story. I tell it in 3 chunks of 3 months, and I learned different lessons in each of those chunks. But most of the lessons were in the last 3 months, unfortunately.
Sure. And part of that comes from the idea of not having a timeline, right? I think that's a
Yeah.
big role. Something that we tell students all the time. It's not just the fact that timeline minimizes the opportunity for you to get to your best score. It actually impedes your LSAT progress.
Yeah.
Either of you, tell me about a student or experiences you've had with students who come to you with the attitude of, I've got 3 months and I need to cram. How does that go? Where are the mistakes do you think that come in from that?
I I can start, and Abby, feel free to jump in. It's like starting the conversation at like a loss. Like you're already starting from a loss when you're having the conversation. And so first I usually have to spend as much time as possible trying to dig that student back to like the baseline where everyone should be starting, right? So that's sometimes difficult for lots of different reasons and for very understandable reasons,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like students aren't supposed to be experts on getting better at the LSAT. It shouldn't be this hard to navigate law school admissions or like going to school like by not paying for law school. Like none of this should be this hard, and you guys shouldn't have to do this. That's why like we try to make as many free resources as possible at the Demon, but that is just like the way the landscape works, right? And sometimes students are like thinking about family pressures. They're thinking about like, I met with a student just this week that was like, I'm almost 24 years old and I'm going to be so late to law school. And I was like, I was 27 when I started. Like it's it's the weight that they put on themselves and that society puts on themselves. I have women of color that I work with a lot. There's lots of different reasons why you might be feeling pressure, and because they start from that point, a lot of our work in the beginning is just helping them see that which of these barriers are real and which of them are like fake or not any less stressful.
Self-imposed.
Right.
Yeah.
When I say fake, I don't mean that like they don't hurt or they're not stressful or they don't like dare you. Of course they do. They can have a huge impact on your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But they're not real constraints, right? If you don't apply this cycle, you won't die, right? Like nothing nothing physically is going to happen to you that is that's going to change your in fact, if you take a year, you could go to a better school, pay less money, go for free, and your entire 40-year legal career trajectory could be so much better with just like another year. I pushed my cycle out 3 times, so I do know like what I'm talking about. And it wasn't ideal by any means, right? And there are sacrifices that come from that,
Oh yeah.
right? And that's real too, but the benefits are so much better.
I am a 1L as well. I am 28. Abby, how old are you?
28.
Okay.
Nice. I just turned
So,
29.
yeah, see, the point is, everybody, we all waited, and variety of reasons. Abby, love to hear your experiences with students who have that timeline, and then we'll keep going on a little bit more about our timelines.
Yeah. Because I love hearing about Allah's timeline too. Because I think I learn something every time she shares that. But when I work with students who walk in with self-imposed timelines, I'm extremely sympathetic to that. So in the army, and not just in the army, like anybody who's worked in a professional environment, you backwards plan. That's actually just good planning, right? It's so reasonable to think, this is my goal. How can I backwards plan building off of that goal? So when you walk in to a meeting with us, a consultation with us, and you're like, hey, so my plan is to attend law school X fall, and here's my plan. Exceedingly reasonable, right? I'm not going to make fun of you for that. That's a great plan.
Yeah.
I think the missing variable is that there is no linear or constant rate of improvement on this task, right? So if you are somebody, and law students tend to be type A, big planners, especially backwards planners, that's good. That's going to make you a good attorney, right? I'm great. I'm happy to backwards plan with you. I need you to work with me to build in a little bit of buffer, right? Because it's an unknown rate of improvement, we need to have wiggle room in our timeline. So I need you to be flexible. So my approach is I don't ever try to talk somebody out of their timeline. I try to talk somebody into more flexibility of their timeline or with their timeline. I think that's an easier thing to process because I know how important it is to these people. Like Alla was saying, right? Everybody walks in with their reasons. They're all valid. They're all valid. Family, life, job, money, everything. Get it. We also need to consider the variable that you are going to learn the LSAT at a different speed than other people. Could be fast, it could be slow. We have to be flexible.
To that point, for anyone who's listening, I highly recommend if you've got a timeline and you're like, yeah, I'm taking the November test. My scores aren't where they want them to be, but I'm taking the November test. I want you to sit down. My advice with similar to Obby's, a little bit different approach. I want you to write down your plan B. What happens if you're not ready in November? What is plan B? The number of students I've had who write down their plan B and then go, oh, that's not so bad. Like I could make that work, right? And they realize, oh, okay, it isn't the end of the world if I'm not following this exact timeline. But you have to put that pen to paper, right? And have the backup. And then that way I say, if you're ready in November, take it. But now you just have that option of what you can do if you need to step away. Alla, I think you were going to say something. And then I would love to hear about this 3 cycle pushes and kind of that process of where you started and what finally got you to the point that you were ready to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to say though that like I agree with Abhi in the sense of like, I do my best to try to get students to be flexible, but I do my best also, and I know Abhi does this as well. I don't betray what's in the best interest of the student. Right? Like this is something we've actually talked to like other teachers about this as well. Like it's really important as an instructor for me, like morally, ethically, in whatever way, metaphysically, I don't care. Right. At my core, I am on the student's side, even if the student is not on the student's side, which they often aren't. And that's okay. That's not your job. You're doing a lot of different things. That's why you come to us so that we can help take some of that like pressure off. We've seen this cycle, I love that when this happens. Just this week, I had a student come up to me. I didn't remember them. I didn't remember their name. And they're like, and they looked at me like they've seen me 100 times. I was like, uh-oh. And then they were like, I think and they go to Georgetown and they were like, oh, I think I know you. And I was like, oh, have we met? And they're like, I was a student. And I think, you're one of the reasons I'm here. And I was like, holy shit. It's an out of body, fantastic. There's nothing better than when that happens, like just out in the wild. And I go to school with students that I've taught, right? That's a deep honor, but it's also something that means I've seen this happen. I've seen this play out a lot. And what it comes down to is students often put an upper limit on how much they can grow. I don't do that, right? I don't care if my students are starting in the 130s or the 140s. It doesn't matter, if they've been stuck in the low 160s for 6 months or a year, like whatever may be happening, I am willing to believe that there is no upper limit at present. I think that's a theme I'll, try to come back to a couple of times in this podcast. I think that's not to say that every single person on earth can get a 175 plus. That's not what I'm saying. But there is something critical at like a neuroplasticity level, right? That happens when you don't put a limit on how much you can grow.
100%. Yeah.
Alla says the word right. It says right after neuroplasticity. Like I use that word on the regular basis.
Yeah. That sounds right to me.
Yeah, totally.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's such a good point. And just to try and like not to like I'm not going to say anything that Alla didn't just say, but you pay us to tell you the truth, and that's something that I tell every tutoring student I've ever had. It's something I tell every class I've ever taught. You guys trust us with your time. Arguably more valuable than your money is your time and your attention. You entrust us with your time and attention, and also your hard-earned dollars, because you are gonna hopefully you trust the advice that we have to give. And so I really just want to emphasize that like we really believe in what we're recommending. Like we really actually really care. Like I don't know how else to say it. We deeply care.
Yeah.
So Alla, tell us about these 3 cycles that you went through and the decisions that you were having to make to postpone every time.
It's really like hindsight is 2020, right? Like we say that, and we know that, like we think back on like decisions that we made, and it's very different for me to say now what it used to feel like, but it felt like the world was crashing around me, because at 21, at 22, 23, like as I was growing up, because I think I did grow up as I studied for this test. It's actually something I try to tell my students, to encourage them to let the test change them. Right? Like let the test have an impact on you, on your personality, on the way you process information, on the way you respond to information, right? I let the test change me, and I grew up in the process of studying for this test, also because it took 4 years. It tends to happen. Occupational hazard. But it was very hard to think about not having a plan set forth, right? Like a way forward that was concrete. It's really hard to exist in that kind of like discomfort of, I could be in a totally different part of the country, next year, or it could be 2 years from now, right? I still need to figure out how to pay bills. I still need to figure out how to make sure that my resume doesn't have like huge gaps in it, or if there are gaps, I need to be able to make sure I can explain them, right? There's familial responsibilities, there's personal things, there's relations, like all these things are happening all at the same time. But the thing that I couldn't shake off, and this is something I think I give a lot of credit to the demon and to like the philosophy of that this test is solvable, is that I knew that it was a puzzle. I knew that it would take me longer than other people. I've always been a late bloomer. I knew that it was going to do that to me. I knew it wasn't going to be 2 months. I knew it wasn't going to be 9 months, especially once I got to 9 months. But I recognized that if I was consistent, I could see myself getting like a perfect score on this test, is like what it felt like. I was like, with enough time, with enough like neuroplasticity, right, of changing my brain, of adapting to how to solve these problems, I realized I could get it. And that, I think, is the thing I try to instill in my students the most. I have a lot of students that come to me that are in the 160s and that are like, I want a high 170 score. And I'm like, let's get down to how much you believe that, right?
Yeah.
When a student starts with, I know I can do it, half my job's already done.
Yeah, honestly, cancel the tutoring session. Like
Right.
if you've decided you're gonna get there, you're gonna get there. Like there's honestly nothing I could do at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I'm like basically like slightly fine tuning like maybe the way that they're going so that they get there a little bit more efficiently with a little bit less stress in the process. But it's the students that like say, I just need a 163, right? And I'm not saying a 163 is a bad score, right? It's not about what the score itself represents. It's like they think that that's it. They think that's the finish line.
Yeah.
There is not that much of a difference between a 163 and a 166. When it comes to studying for the test, when it comes to outcomes and scholarships and how you go through the process and what it means for you to invest that time and go the distance, world of difference.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's students that come to us that have a goal score of 160, which is awesome. But the school that they want to go to might give them a full ride or something close if they get a 165. And that's a conversation where it's like, oh, like, this is achievable. And they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, oh no. Like, okay, let's take a few steps back. Let's talk about why it's achievable, right? Before
Yeah.
we get into how we're going to get there, let's talk about why you can get there.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll do like a breakdown by like how many more questions they need to get right to get a 165. And it's like,
Love that.
wait, I'm at like, I don't know, I don't have the math on me, but it's like, it's like a -8 or 9 is what they're at right
Mhm.
now. And they're like, they just need to get like a -6 roughly.
Yeah.
And they're in like a 165, 166 range. And they're like, wait, that's like not that different at all from what I'm doing right now.
I think that's a great point. I do want to come back a little bit to how getting a score like this can change your life, because I think both of you are going to have some ways to testify to that. I want to start with the study habits that you two had. I'll let you start this time, Alla, because I think Obby's is going to be a little bit different. Active duty military while studying.
Well, and also like extremely type B person, and then I think Ala's more of a type A person. But that might
okay,
be.
I'm going to presume that you weren't in a combat zone while studying for the LSAT. Love to hear what your study habits were like. Were you working while you were studying for the LSAT?
Yeah, I was. Not
Okay.
the entire time, but for most of the time I was
Okay,
studying.
yeah.
And I actually found that when I was working full time was the times when I think I did my best on the LSAT, and best in terms of like consistency and like overall growth, although not linear, just generally I felt like I was doing better. So the only thing I will ever give more credit to getting me over the finish line than the demon is getting a study buddy. It did help that my study buddy person was also a demon student.
Shout out
right?
Beth.
But I worked with study buddies, and this is something I'm a huge advocate for because it, I have a podcast about it. I'm sure we can like link it in the description box or
Yeah.
something. It's a couple years old now, but it's with me and Beth, who is another teacher at the Demon, and we were both study buddies, and we were both like starting out. And I remember she like raised her hand in class, and I was like, that person sounds fun and smart. I'm gonna go. And we just started meeting, and we ended up meeting. And this, I had also studied with some other people, but like this was the one that was like, I was in the low 160s, high 150s. And we spent, no joke, 8 months. So it was me, Beth, and a third person. And the three of us met 5 to 6 days a week for 8 to 9 months straight.
Wow.
And we were very efficient. We were very clear about what our job was. And it's not like we would spend hours on Zoom or something. Like,
Sure.
2 of us had full-time jobs. The other person had more responsibilities. So we would hop on, having already done a session, and we would spend time on what I like to call the hot seat, right? So whoever missed the question is on the hot seat. The other 2 people would essentially drop crumbs, right? Almost like a live explanation. And we would walk through what we did wrong on that question. And we would spend 30 minutes really every day on a call reviewing. That was a huge part, I think, of getting better. But, we know that most of it is just taking that section and reviewing. A lot of my review happened to be in study buddies, and it helped me not go crazy. It was also during the pandemic, which was another isolating
reason.
factor, and it helps to have like some camaraderie. I also spent a lot of time solo studying as well. I would often get a live subscription for like a month or 2 to take some classes, and then once I feel like I got some light bulb moments and I needed to just quietly study, I'd go do that for a few months. Every time I pushed it out, it sucked, and it felt like I was letting myself down. It felt like I was letting, other people in my family and like around me down. All of that was part of the sacrifice of it, but I don't regret it, not even a little bit. It gave me the opportunity to go into law school with, a scholarship at Georgetown. Wasn't a full ride, but I felt like, I was at the top of the world. I still do. I'm the first person in my family to like go to graduate school in the United States, let alone law school. And all of the things that came with this decision of I can do better. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad came into my room the night before my last try score was going to come out. And he was very worried that I was going to like become a monk or something if I didn't get my my 5th and final attempt, or 6th and final attempt score. And I was like, I wanted to know that having done this for 4 years, I gave it everything. I did not care about the actual score I got at the end. I cared that I could look back on this and know that I did everything I could do to get that score. The score itself doesn't matter. And I think that's one of those like ultimate like grit things that helps people go. That it's like that isn't there a Gattaca quote about like swimming out into the do either of you know what movie I'm talking about?
Yeah.
No clue.
Great movie.
It's a great movie, Josh. You got to watch
Okay,
it.
what movie is it?
Gattaca,
I haven't even
Gattaca.
heard of
It's
it.
got-
Gataca, and it's
Yeah, it's got Ethan Hawke.
Ethan
Okay.
Hawke,
Okay.
Christian Bale.
I
No,
don't
no.
remember.
I'm thinking about Uma Thurman's in it.
Yeah, Uma Thurman.
Okay, I've not even heard of this. I'll have to watch it.
Great.
Jude Law.
Okay.
Jude Law. Yeah, plays
Yeah, I
the
think I'm
other
confusing
guy.
Ethan Hawke with Christian Bale. I apologize.
Okay.
Sidetrack.
Yeah.
There's a quote in this about like I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, but
Okay.
there's a quote in it about how a person can go a lot further if they don't think about how much further they have to go back, right? It's not about saving any energy for the trip down. It's that grit is like one of those factors I think that really helps people go the distance. And it's okay if 165 is where you end up, or 160 is where you end up. I don't care about the score. I care about that mindset you have about how far you think you can go.
Great. Love that. For study buddy purposes, I'm going to do a quick plug. Obviously, if you're a live member, you can come to classes like Alla did and find people in there. You also, though, with just a Demon free membership, can join the Discord. We will make sure to link that in the show notes. We have a
Which
study
I
buddy
helped
finder.
create because
Yes.
I wanted people to find study buddies. That was one of the reasons that me and Chris wanted
Yeah.
to create the Discord is because we wanted students to be able to find study buddies. I'm the co-founder of the Demon now. Yeah.
Psych! It's actually Chris and Alla.
You pull off a Mission Impossible mask and you're just Nate Fox in a Philip Seymour Hoffman mask. Yeah.
I've just got that Scooby Doo unmasking
Yeah,
going
yeah,
down
yeah.
my head.
It's been the whole time.
It's Alla. But Alla, creator of the Discord here, will definitely testify to. We have a study buddy finder channel in there, and all you need LSAT Demon free account. You also can register for the free live class that's coming up. So go to lsatdemon.com/free. Go make your account, and then we will link the Discord show notes below, so you can come and join that Discord. Find a study buddy. That's all you need to do. So you have no excuses. I know our outreach coordinator Damon put together a study group of like 10 people that just would group up whenever they could, made their own little group, and he invited anybody and everybody all the time. And so and I know of several who
There's a bunch of those.
like have scored, like Jacob, who was just on the show for his success story, was one of Damon's study groups members. So people are like Alla, you're not the only person to talk about the importance of a study buddy. Abby, I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience, because I think your experience is about to testify that anybody who feels like they don't have time or ability to study is probably going to hear that they might.
Right, and I want to clarify. I wasn't deployed while I was studying.
Okay.
So I was stateside. I was
Got it. I thought you were deployed. That's my bad.
No,
That's a misconception.
I was deployed after that, but
Okay.
I was active duty, and I think that the military is interesting because it's very.
I'm curious. Sorry to interrupt, Abby.
Yeah.
But like, there's like chances you could be deployed at any time, right? As you're in active duty, like there are things
Yeah,
that
I
come
think
up and go, and so
theoretically.
there's a lot of shifting sands in that as well. Even if you weren't in a combat
Exactly.
zone, like there's
Exactly.
implications of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like even though if you're just hanging out on post, like I was just in Oklahoma. I was stationed in Oklahoma at the time.
Okay.
And the military is interesting because it's a very scheduled day. Like it's a pretty regimented day. At the same time, they're long days, and then some of those days turn into multiple days. So like you might have a long day, you might get home really, really late, and you might not have an hour in you, and that's okay, right? So that's what I tell everybody is like, real life comes first, right? This test is kind of silly at the end of the day. It's so silly, and we're so lucky to be able to like think about this test. Everybody, the students that are listening, and the few of us that are lucky enough to work here, like we're so lucky that this takes up such a big part of our life. If the LSAT's the worst part of your day, you had a pretty good day, I think.
That's
And
so nice. I like
yeah,
that.
I like to remind
I'm
people like,
always grateful to have this. Like, this is the best job in the world, and
Mhm.
it blows my mind every day that I pay rent based off of like helping students, like, figure out that law school's for them or not. Both are great outcomes, right?
yeah,
Like, this is what I do. That's so nice.
Yeah.
it's a great job. And like on the flip side, right? Being a student, like what a privilege it is to be a student, right? Like we get to study, to take a test, to be lawyers in a day and age where that's like what a beautiful thing that is, and what an important job that is. So I like to remind people like, wow, we're so lucky to be here. Um, and so real life always comes first though, right? Like you got bills to pay. Some people have families that study with us. Some people have kids and other obligations and jobs and stuff. So all that stuff will come first. Whatever time you have left, you can be disciplined in how you
Mhm.
allocate it towards the LSAT. But sometimes you have to be realistic. So you might get home really late and you might not have the brain capacity to give us a good hour. That's okay. Take the night off. Or pull up the Demon app on your phone and just drill like 2 or 3 LR questions. I always say something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes my hour a day, I'll be honest, was like 10 minutes laying in bed after I got home, like about to pass out, but like I was like, oh, I should do an LR question. And I would drill an LR question and I would learn something from it. So boom, too easy, right? I learned something about the LSAT that day, and that's a win. So some of those days were shorter, hours, and some days were more consistent. But I think like one of the challenges of being active duty is that you just get sent to the field for days and weeks at a time. So the consistency to me, I really valued it when I had it, and I
Mhm.
really missed it when I didn't. And so that's something I emphasize with my students is I don't need a gargantuan commitment from you. I don't need you to give me 8 hours a day. That's ridiculous. I don't even really need to give, I don't need people to give me like 2 hours a day. That's
Yeah.
even too much, right?
Mhm.
We really do believe it's like about 60 minutes of effort is a good amount of effort. If it's a little lower than that, totally fine, right? Totally, totally fine. A little bit every day is going to add up, especially if you think about, we're talking about weeks and weeks and months here, folks, right? Like I took 9 months, Josh took 18 months, Alla took
A
some
gazillion
a
years.
gazillion months. But the common thread is that we're dedicated to improving a little bit every day or two, right?
Yeah.
It's, and not to be cheesy, but it really is a marathon, not a sprint, which is like the lamest thing of all time. And I hate that I'm saying it, but it's unfortunately a really apt analogy. If you have a better one, I'd love for you to give us one.
I don't have a better analogy, but it's not about how much distance you can cover today or this week or this
Yeah.
month. It's about how much distance you can go, like, overall in your
Mhm.
entire LSAT journey.
Yeah.
I wanted to say a little bit about like scheduling, because a lot of students like ask about like when should I study, or like what should I do in a given week,
Yeah.
and if there's anything relevant to a 175 that like you should think about. I
Oh
mean, we don't give
yeah.
you different advice based on what score you're at, by the way. That's not something that happens. I repeatedly tell my like 140 scoring students, like, this is stuff I say to my 170 scores all the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
All the time. There's nothing different going on here, right? We don't hide the ball, especially at the demon. We do not do that.
Yeah.
Um, there's another level you got to unlock to get that, right? But one thing I think students can sometimes underestimate the value of is trying to pick that best hour as early in the day as you possibly can. Right. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to wake up at like 4 a.m. to like make sure you get that hour in before you go about your day. But there's a version of that that isn't so bad. Like when I was working full time and I had to like show up to work at like 9 a.m. and that was during the pandemic, that was like, hopping on Zoom and just like sitting in front of a computer for like 8 hours a day. It used to be so nice to have already done the hardest thing in my day, right? The thing that mattered to me the most, right? The
Mhm.
thing that was like future trajectory. It felt so nice to be able to do that before 9 a.m. Before I even started work, I had already checked off that like really tough thing to do. And yes, it's good to have backups. It's good, especially if you have a crazy schedule, if you've got kids, you're never going to be able to do that consistently. But to be able to aim for like that hour before everyone's awake and bothering you and taking up your time and your energy, if you can slot that in earlier, the better. There's versions of that. Sometimes my students are like, I don't think I can wake up a full hour early. I'm like, okay, how about you wake up 35 minutes earlier than you're supposed to, take the section, and then review it at the end of the day.
Right.
Or at lunch, on your lunch break.
Or your lunch break, right? Or
Yes.
if there's a lull that you know is going to happen
Mhm.
at work, do it then, right? Like there's got to be a prioritization thing here, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
make sure you try, depending on what you're balancing, right? I've
Uh-huh.
had to, I've dealt with family emergencies. Things happen and
Sure.
change your life, and we understand that, and we're aware of that. But if you can, prioritize the things that matter to you, and like Josh recommended, like, sit down and like write out stuff, like actually look inside and see what it is you want to do. And if you
Yeah.
consistently find that the LSAT is like really not happening, like you don't care about it, ask yourself why. And if there's a good reason, follow that butterfly. Please don't bog yourself down and make yourself miserable.
And here's the other point to that. I want to jump in. I'm an imposter. I know. I only scored a 174. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I know.
We wear pink on Wednesdays.
I'm quitting the podcast, Josh. You're gonna have to...
I should have taken it again and I didn't. But that's a story for another day. I loved all of what you said about being serious about the LSAT. The biggest difference for me was when I chose not to play fantasy football that season.
That's how you know
so
it's
that
serious.
I uninstalled Reddit. I never had TikTok on my phone. I still don't, and I refuse. But if whatever your vice is, that you're like, wow, if you were to go into your apps right now and look at your screen time, whatever that number one app is, ask yourself what happens if you replace that with Demon LR drilling.
Dude, social media addiction, I have gone down a rabbit hole to understand my consumption of digital media, and I have changed a lot of things, especially like with law school and all the things that I have going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, I could go on this is a tangent, but there are real things that you need to do to look at how you are spending your day. If you are somebody that, is active duty military, I doubt you're going to have this problem, but the rest of us are dealing with
Brother,
a lot of...
okay, not to
Never mind.
not to sound like RFK Jr., but these things are terrible for us. And I've started to leave my phone in the kitchen. Like I charge it
Yes.
overnight in the kitchen or the living room or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like I have an alarm clock next to me at night. So I wake up to like the radio or like a normal alarm. And it's so much like if the first thing you see isn't infinite algorithm,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just so much better for your brain. Again, I'm not like a CIA conspiracy theorist. I don't think it's that deep, but I think it is just like the way our brains work, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is.
They're
I use a
all
blocking
designed
app
to
now.
keep you in.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I use a blocking app.
Oh,
Just
good.
block
Yeah.
like everything. Helps a ton. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying not to use technology for the first like 45 minutes after you wake up. For the
Yeah.
first last hour before you go to sleep, I actually
That's a real-
read books now, which is
Yeah.
crazy because I don't have my phone in bed anymore.
Yeah.
I sleep so much better. I don't wake up with like an elephant's leg on my chest, and I'm like not
Yeah.
like anxious and like, freaking out because I'm like, look at all these problems I haven't solved yet. It's like, no one's waiting for you to solve any of this stuff. You just need to get on with what matters to you.
Exactly. The last like I also leave books everywhere now. So like instead of my phone on my nightstand, I have a book.
Yeah.
Or instead of like next to the couch, I have like a book on the table next to the couch. So if I'm just sitting there relaxing, I can reach for a book instead of my phone.
Yeah.
Does it work every time? No.
Yeah, I used to put back when there wasn't like an actual Demon app.
Yeah.
There used to be a shortcut that you could do for the browser where you could like pull a browser site, right, and make it an app. I had that like on the bottom, like the four main ones, right, where you've got like your messages and your phone calls.
Yep.
Oh wow.
One of those was the Demon.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
That's it.
And I used to like I used to have a little thing in front of in my bathroom that said, if you're going to go to the bathroom, just drill a question. And I used to drill a question every time I went to the
You have a little post-it note. Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So this is like you are adapting things in your life to match what it is you're going for. I think that training regimen way of looking at things, right?
Yeah.
This whole social media, like phone usage thing, it's relevant because
Yes.
it's about shaping your day to make sure that it serves you rather than you being crushed by it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's a great point. Last thing on this tangent. Best thing I ever did, I set an alarm once a month. I shuffle the shortcuts on my home screen on my phone around. Go in, move your apps around so you don't have muscle memory.
That muscle memory, every time you reach for your phone, you hit the certain app.
Yeah, you go to hit TikTok and you hit the calculator. It's like a jarring, like, oh my gosh, what was I about to do? Like,
yeah, why was I even clicking it?
Okay, I have one more.
Okay.
I changed My entire home screen now is shortcuts, not apps. So I deleted all the
Oh.
apps from my front, and every single one is a shortcut. And I've customized the icon so it's not as like it's not the YouTube app that we all know that drags us in. Now it just says like,
Oh.
I
Oh.
don't have my YouTube app on my phone, but like Spotify, let's say, is now
Sure.
just a generic like icon. It's
Okay.
not
Oh.
it's not the Spotify icon,
Yeah.
which I regret to report works extremely well,
It's
which means our brains are very binary, right?
oh.
I think this is something students struggle with a lot. They're like, I am special. I can resist X thing. I am somebody that can, study for 3 hours and not burn out in 2 months. We're not. Trust me. If that were true, right, we would be giving you these like fantastical tips and tricks about how to
Yeah.
get to all the stuff we're saying is super basic. I'm sorry to say that the journey is super basic.
It's it's a really boring process,
Right.
right? And it's like I wish I could be Elizabeth Holmes and like take a drop of your blood and promise you a 175. It's like, oh yeah. But speaking of Gattaca, right? That's kind of what the movie's about. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
like
okay.
it's like predestination
Hmm.
based on something about you, like your
Mm.
biology or something.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. That's not how the world works.
The other
Yeah.
thing I'll say about this whole like, not predestination, but just more generally, like how
Yeah, what
students like convince themselves that there's this like special like set of things that they can do. And what Abhi said about like it's boring and it's basic, but the work itself doesn't have to be. You can have
Hmm.
so much fun
Love it.
studying for the LSAT.
Yes.
In fact, the best indicator from my students that I'm going to see them get what I call cruising altitude, which is getting to like the mid to high 170s. The biggest like early indicator for me is when they start having a good time. When they start like making fun of the test, when they're starting to like giggle a little bit,
Yeah.
and they start to come out like thinking about the test almost like they're a child and they're like crushing things. And you can see that very early on, by the way. It can happen in the 140s, the 150s, 160s. It can happen at any point in time in the process. When students learn to enjoy the test on its own, not for an outcome, not to go to law school, just it's a test, it's a puzzle, I get to solve it. If I can start to see a little spark in their eyes when they do that, I'm like, that's good.
yeah.
Well, Alla, you jumped the gun for my next question.
Uh-oh.
The perfect answer to it. So Abby, I'm going to give you a chance as well. What do you see behaviors, study at points, things that people do that indicate to you you're on the right trajectory for a 175, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever your goal is.
That's a
All is
great
having fun
question.
with the test. I love that one. I'd love to hear if you have one that comes to
Man,
mind.
that's the best one too, Ali. You stole the best. You
Okay,
stole the best
I'm
answer.
gonna steal the second one then.
Okay, please.
Here's the second one: not doing too many practice tests.
Ooh, interesting.
The people who come to me and they go, I just don't take practice tests. I just do sections and drill a lot. Often are the ones who I think are killing it because they're embodying not going for the outcome.
I see
Yeah.
that.
I talked to a
Okay.
guy who did a 178, took one practice test his entire time. He took one more
Whoa.
before the official test. He didn't score it. You can go listen to this. It's
What?
Matt, I think was his name. So he did a full practice test, got to the end, didn't score it, didn't click submit, and just said, "Okay, I feel good now." Went in 178. But
That's like that impossible, like I don't know. We already I think all said our ages, so and everyone knows how old I am. But like those like some of those games that used to show up on like the Nintendo DS that would like have like an hard mode that was truly impossible to play.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you
hard
needed to give
mode.
yourself like arthritis to be able to play it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what that sounds like. That's
That
Yeah.
crazy. I
person, that
love it.
person played the demon on hard mode, or played the outside on hard mode.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I actually, so on maybe at the other side of the same coin,
Okay.
when people maybe stop feeling anxious about time sections and
Oh,
tests,
okay.
and
Yeah.
when they start like enjoying practice tests, like so guilty as charged. I love PTs. So when I was studying, I looked forward to my practice exam every week.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Interesting.
would maybe a little bit opposite of the
Yeah.
individual we
Yeah.
just mentioned. Um, but that kind of speaks to Ali's point of like I felt like I was unlocking something when I actually started to enjoy it.
Sure.
I see that in students all the time. My favorite emails are from tutoring students who will send me a question and be like, check this question out. You know, isn't this great? Like this, and this, isn't this crazy? But I
Yeah.
got there. That's awesome. So to kind of say something different, What signs do I see in students that I know are going to be fine? Ooh,
Maybe this is another one.
We're just gonna
So
keep
Abby, to
stealing all
give
of
you
yours,
no,
Obby.
give
please. I'm
The
I'm
longer you
waiting.
give me
If you
take, the
guys,
less
yeah,
the
yeah.
less is available to you.
This is a losing proposition.
um one other thing I notice, I think, is students will like they will stop trying to, and we've talked about this, we talk about this all the time, accuracy matters more than speed, right? But there are students, no joke, who are like, who have gotten 180s on practice tests like multiple times, and they're like, yeah, I guessed on the last question this in this practice test, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
That is usually because they don't care
they don't care.
about
yep.
finishing sections,
Yeah,
right? That's something I think I would say pretty comfortably, like really, will split the difference between like a 168 scorer and like a 176 scorer, right?
Uh-huh.
That I know every single 160 scorer that I come across it to, they're like, I got to finish the section. But my cruising altitude scores, they don't care
Uh-huh.
about that. I'm pretty sure, and like now it's a blur now and it's been years now, but I'm pretty sure on one of my sections on my final official test that I got the score I wanted, I guessed on the last question, right? That happens to almost all, like, and we should do this maybe, Josh, like do like a running segment where we ask our like all our teachers, like, did you guess on any of the questions?
Well,
Um,
let me be the next contributor. I guessed on the last 4 of my RC section. I barely got to like the main point question on my last RC passage because the third section just kind of kicked my butt. And
yeah.
so I slowed down and just got it right. And it
Mhm.
meant I didn't finish. That's why I'm down here in the like 170 to 174 club now. But yeah,
Don't
no,
be like
I also
Josh.
didn't finish my test.
Yeah, I also didn't finish my test. I took the
We
test
should
back
do this.
when.
I really think this
Well,
should
it's
be an
just and
ongoing
it's
thing because
well, we've been saying this for years, right? Like Carl is, I think, one of my
Mhm,
favorite examples where like he
Uh-huh.
didn't finish his RC section. He got a 179 with a Yale. Like, come
Yep.
mhm,
on, dude.
Yep.
Like, if Carl doesn't have to finish his RC section, neither do you.
yeah,
Now, and so for me, it was logic games. I didn't finish my logic game section. I think I guessed on
mhm.
the last question or two. I was going slow. I was having fun. It's like,
Yeah.
ooh, this is a fun puzzle. Doing my little doodles, you know. And then I looked up at the time. I was like, oh, well, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Guess on the last couple, ended up okay. Ended up just fine. So, yeah, it turns out you don't have
Because
to
it
finish.
means you're focused on the job, right?
Yeah.
Like I tell
Yeah.
students, like, you can't get rid of testing. So this is one question I get all the time. They're like, how do I not be anxious on test day? I'm like, you can't. Unless you can give yourself a lobotomy, you can't actually not be anxious on the official test. That's not going to happen.
The LSAT demon does not officially recommend giving yourself a lobotomy.
Not a,
Allah is not
official.
speaking on
I
Did
behalf
you
of
say
the.
officially, Obby? Is that unofficially?
We officially do not recommend giving yourself a lobotomy.
Okay. I can see that I'm like in the middle of the screen for myself, so I feel like you guys are ganging
Are
up
we
on me.
ganging up on
Like I'm
you?
like watching it in real time.
Which side am I on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you can't not be anxious on test day. It's impossible. And trying to do that is actually going to make you even more anxious, and you're going to fall apart. So what I tell my students is deprioritize the anxiety,
Yeah.
right? You'll
Mhm.
be anxious. I just want you to care more about the sentence in front of you more than you care about the anxiety. Right. I
Yeah.
think that's another like really good indicator for like students that really like get to that cruising altitude is when they care more about the job in front of them. And that's exactly what Abhi and Josh are talking about, right? When you don't think about finishing the section, when you don't like push yourself to do X thing, because anytime you're thinking about time, anytime you're highlighting, anytime you're flagging questions, right? Anytime you're thinking about,
Yeah.
I'll come back to this one, all of that is not your job.
Mhm.
Your job is read the sentence in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Predict the question in front of you.
And that's just good. That's just good practice, right? Multitasking is not generally good, like work product.
Mhm.
If you're an attorney, your job isn't to handle all of your clients at once. It's to
Mhm.
handle the client that you're talking to at that time.
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
your clients don't care if you clear your inbox fast, right? It doesn't matter how fast you respond to the emails. They want good responses to emails. So yeah, quality matters. I know we've
Well,
said that a
and
million
to
times.
that, Obby, it's not even that. It's also if you're drafting a motion to dismiss, they don't want you thinking about jury prep,
Mm-mm.
right? They want you doing that motion to the best of your capacity. And that's, I don't even want you thinking about the question. I want you thinking about the answers. I want you thinking about the sentence in front of you.
One thing at a time and do it right.
Yeah.
This may be
go ahead. Yeah.
another like social media, like digital addiction type of tangent, but I promise it's not. I challenge
I'll
my
hit that. I'll
students
hit that
to
all the time.
start with 3 minutes of meditation a day. I think you've got 3 minutes in you, right? And there's lots of free resources. Sometimes your insurance will pay for a meditation app because they know it like reduces insurance costs, right? If you're a student, it's Headspace is $10. I'm pretty sure. It's not like we're sponsored or anything. But like I love Headspace. That's what I use. There's Calm app. There's lots of other apps out there you can use, and you don't need an app at all. You can just sit there and focus on your breath, right?
Yeah.
Any meditation apps out there that want to sponsor this podcast, reach out to me. Don't reach out to Josh. Reach out to me.
Right. Reach out to
Specifically, Abhi. Don't tell anybody else.
Abhi wants it for crushing 1L.
Yeah, don't tell anybody else. I'll take your money. Yeah.
3 minutes a day. Can you do 3 minutes a day? And it will make you better at focusing. It will make you better at regulating your emotions when you get a bad section score, right? It helps with everything up and down the line, right? Yeah, that's another one I think I would say.
Yeah. If Obby gets a meditation sponsorship, there are going to be signs. If you log into Crushing 1L in here,
I'm just
now
gonna
breathe
be like,
in, then you'll know Obby's got his deal.
Center yourself and go to your sponsored application. I'm open to whichever. I don't have a preference. Anybody who pays me, I'll recommend. I think I thought of an answer to your earlier question, Josh, but it's kind of a cop out because it's still kind of something we've already covered. I know someone's going to be just fine when they come to a session and they're like, I'm going to take this test as many times as I need to, and I'm going to take as long as I need.
Yeah.
And if they're saying that, come on, dude. That's like, oh, the job is done. Like, too easy. Like, because it's kind of what Alla was saying earlier. Like, if you've decided you're going to take as long as it takes to get the outcome you want, then it's almost like it's decreed. Like you'll get there. You're going to get there because you've decided you're going to get there. When a student says that to me rather than me trying to convince a student, man, I know they're in good hands. They're in good hands.
If you hear that you're not supposed to go to law school enough times and you keep thinking, no, like this is all I can do with it. Like and Matt says this a lot, right? From the demon. Like he'll say like, if there's anything else you want to do with your life, go do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Rather than go to law school.
Oh yeah.
I heard that for longer than Abhi did before going to law school because I studied for so long. Every time I heard that, I would go like, no, this is literally all I could see myself. And this is the thing that I fell in love with doing. And it's like, it was the intersection of so many different things that I enjoyed in myself, right? We're not just talking about getting good at the LSAT, guys. Like, you know this, right? We're not talking about getting good at the LSAT. We're not even really talking about going to law school and becoming a lawyer. We're talking about like finding the trajectory for the kind of work that you want to do. One of the best career advice that I've ever gotten is don't look for like issue areas. Don't ask yourself like you want to work in like voting rights or you want to work in immigration, right? Don't think about issue areas. Think about what you want to do day to day and how that day will look like and how that will reflect on like how you go home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're trying to ask you guys to be introspective so that when you do put your effort in and push, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't even feel like you're pushing. You're just like, this is what I would be doing anyway. Even if I didn't have the demon, even if I didn't want to go to law school, I would still be doing this kind of work. That's game changing.
Yeah. The reason that I chose the demon, I'm a podcast fiend, used to be. Now I'm much more audiobooks, because I want to get my books in still. I love fantasy books. And I refuse to give that up even with law school. So I'm an audiobook fiend now. But I used to be podcast all the way. And when I decided to start studying for the LSAT, the first thing I did, of course, got to go find a podcast. And I remember thinking LSAT. And I was like, man, if these guys are telling me not to use their product, must be a pretty dang good product.
Yeah.
And that's what convinced me. And to Alla's point, I heard again and again and again, you probably shouldn't go to law school. And I took that seriously. And so after the first 3 months of studying, I got a promotion at work. So I stayed for another year to decide if that promotion was something I enjoyed. And then I still found myself, no, this isn't it, right? And so I changed jobs while I was studying for the LSAT. And then I enjoyed my new job. So I decided to wait another year. And there was still that thing, like I wanted to go do legal work. But the impact of that is that I go to law school, I feel like I belong. I'm happy to be there. School doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like, to Obby's point, it feels like a blessing. Like I feel so grateful to go and get to sit in class every day, and to get to do that. And I just have an idea of what I want to do day to day, like as Olive, you said. This is the perfect transition to what I think is a really important. One thing that I wanted to get really quick. So, Obby, you retook a 169. Is that the number? 168.
I took a 168. Yeah. So I went 163, 168, then 177.
Okay. Alla, what numbers did you retake?
I think I retook a 166.
Okay.
Yeah. I was greedy. In the mid to low 160s a couple of times. Yeah.
Get greedy, everybody. Like retake if like you can do better. If you like, go do it. If you think you can, if your practice test scores so you can do better, go do better. Don't settle. And that transitions to kind of the thing I wanted to end on. What I want to talk about the ways that getting a 175 has changed both your, like, changed who you are and changed your outcomes in terms of going to law school. Let's start with the more obvious one. Obby, you go to Penn?
I do.
What's Penn ranked?
I have no idea. I think 4th or 5th these days.
4th or 5th? Yeah. Somewhere
in there, yeah.
Good school.
Alla?
Georgetown.
What's Georgetown ranked?
I think something in the... It's like the T14 number they use. Yeah,
yeah,
like
whatever
14,
that number.
15, 16,
Yep.
13.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, something like
that. I chose to stay in a little bit closer to family. I've got a 1-year-old, so I chose to stay a little closer to family. I go to BYU, 28th, I think, right? And I think we all got scholarship money. What was that impact? Like when you started law school, what was it like knowing that you had money to be there? I'm sure you guys reflected on that.
Oh, I still reflect on it. Like there isn't a day that goes by that like I don't reflect on it, right? I have like a life-changing amount of less debt than I do, than I would have otherwise. And the schools I would have applied to with the score I had, like the highest I had before, I don't exactly remember what it was, but the highest I had before I got my 176 there was not a single school on that list that I ended up applying to. I think maybe there were a couple of reaches that like overlapped or something like that.
Sure.
Fundamentally different. I got a scholarship that I only would have dreamt of when I was like starting out. There's just so much here that like I have access to, and that like, there are professors who have clerked for Supreme Court justices, right? Like there are like all, all like the fancy things they'll put on a pamphlet that are there. But, for me personally, for like my family, for like all the things that I want to accomplish in life, like this was a true dream scenario. And as I say that, I also want to be clear that when I was thinking about like pushing myself to get the best score I could have, the dream scenario didn't always help me. Right? Like when I thought about like, well, I could go to Harvard, or I could go to like this school or that school, right? Like when I thought about that, that didn't help me necessarily in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
But it did help me when it came down to, I got to push it out another cycle.
Yeah.
Right? When I sat there and I went like, what am I giving up? And what am I investing? And the one thing that I wanted to avoid in this whole process, especially about pushing things out, was regret. I did not want to go to a school and like pay, a lot of money to go there at a lower ranked school than I could have gone to if I'd stuck with it. I didn't want all of that. And then on top of that, I could have gotten better on the LSAT. I did not want that regret of having tried. Notice it's not about the outcome, right? I wanted to know, having gone through this whole process, that I did the best that I could have at this, and I was happy to settle with whatever score I would have gotten at the end.
Obby?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so lucky to be where I am. And scholarships for military people work a little bit different. So like we get the GI Bill, but depending on where you go, like schools are more or less generous when it comes to GI Bill stuff. So I'm so blessed and grateful to go to a yellow ribbon school. So because I got into Penn, whatever the GI Bill doesn't cover, Penn covers for me. So that's huge. Realistically, so I'm proud of my GPA. I got a 3.5 in electrical engineering back in college. That's not the kind of GPA.
That's rough.
Right, but that's not the kind of GPA that people have at
and schools don't care what major you have. They're like electrical engineering or anything else does not matter.
They're like, why did you take classes you didn't get A's in, right? They're pretty brutal, and like fair enough, right? Like
Yeah.
your GPA is your academic record, and this is an academic school that's pretty hard, and so they want to, okay, well, this is how you did in school. This is some sort of relationship to how you're going to do in law school. But like none of our schools have a bunch of people with sub 3, high, 3.8, 3.9 usually, most of our classmates. And that's true of like really any school in the top 30 to 50. Like a bunch of like all these people are like
Yeah,
the
grade
top 5
inflation's
to 10.
real.
Yeah, the top 5 to 10% of their classes at whatever college they went to. So for me, I would not have gotten into this school without my LSAT score.
Yeah.
And so that for me unlocked a different tier of scholarships because some of these higher ranked schools are much more generous with their veterans and their yellow ribbon funding. And so I was worried, oh no, I might not get into any of these schools. And so like Alla just mentioned, when I was in the high 160s, my list looked a lot different.
Yeah.
Because I needed to rely on scholarship money, not just GI Bill funding. And then I got the 177. I was like, okay, the world looks a little bit different now. And then I got into a bunch of great schools, and they're all really generous. And so I had a bunch of full rides to consider. And that's just a different world than the one I lived in before.
They have
Can
nice
I also
endowment funds at those kind of
Yeah,
schools.
sorry, I
No,
didn't
you're
mean to
fine.
jump
Go
in.
ahead.
Can I also say that working this hard on this test changed the way I approach law school?
Hey, that's the next point.
Yeah.
I love.
I keep
let's
jumping
talk.
on like every
You're
single.
it's
It's like I'm
perfect.
looking at the agenda. I promise I'm not. I don't know where it is.
I can just dip. Alla's just gonna run
Yeah,
these now.
Josh,
She's got it.
Alla's actually hosting this podcast.
Yeah,
so.
listen, I thought my hosting abilities were enough to like make up that one point that I was missing. But that's gone now. So Alla, please, tell like that's exactly the next point. So we have the material benefits, right? Absolutely. The material benefits are there. I just did orientation. My wife was invited to come with me for a part of the orientation, and one of that was the financial aid presentation. And I watched them put an 8% interest rate up on the board, and I almost fell over. I was like,
Yeah.
I cannot believe some people have to take an 8% for the full
On
tuition.
like $250,000,
Couldn't believe it. Like,
and then living expenses.
yes,
Like,
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
so what
that's-
are the other
Cool.
So just
things
back in the
that come
napkin
out
math,
of?
folks. Back in the napkin math. If your interest rate's near 10% and you're taking out $250,000 in loans, that means that every year your loans go up by 25K. Just
That's just interest. That's got
Automatically.
nothing to
Just
do with
an
paying
yeah,
the money back.
just interest,
Yeah.
just interest.
And that starts when you start borrowing the money. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't start when you
Yep.
graduate from law school.
For reference, a mortgage is somewhere between like 3 and 5 where most people tell you to buy it. Like we're talking crazy interest rates. So
Right.
the material benefits are amazing. I want to talk about how this has impacted us for law school now. Alla,
Before
you're
I do
chomping
law
at the
school,
bit, so go ahead.
I was thinking about something else as well.
Yeah.
Your ability to solve problems, your ability to look at the world and like see like things that could be improved. How you read cases in law school, of course, is going to get impacted. How you talk, like there are shows and TV shows and movies that I've watched after getting like through my LSAT journey, like rewatch them, and I'm like, who wrote this? This is terrible. I'm serious. Like, I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. This isn't, I'm just like now able to see like the world. It's got a whole new filter on it.
Mhm.
Right. That's one. Another thing I got is this job. Like I can't not say that. Right. Like
Yeah.
I'm able to build like relationships with future lawyers. I'm able to like talk to you guys on the podcast and like be able to help other students like go through this journey. And then in law school itself, like when you go to class, you are not being asked what happened in the case. You are not being asked like details about what you read. You are being asked, what does that have to do with the way that that law is applied? Or
Mhm.
what made the difference? Like what facts of that case made the difference in the outcome? And that's what you're going to be asked to do on your exams. Exams have nothing to do with knowing what happened in a case. It has everything to do with how you apply that to the new facts that they give you in the exam. You cannot do that without the critical thinking skills that the LSAT teaches you.
Mhm.
It's impossible. I thank my LSAT, like my 3 cycles, pushing them out every single day when I go to law school, because I'm able to follow what the professor says better.
Mhm.
I'm able to read better. I'm able to understand what my, fellow classmates are saying better, because these are all people that did well on the LSAT,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
These are all people who have like broken this stuff down. You start off on the wrong foot in so many different ways when you're paying full tuition at a school, right? You are at the bottom of the class, which means financially you've already got that like weight on your shoulders, but you've also not taken that extra time to get better at the test, which means you're not going to do as well in classes. And if you rushed your way through, you're more likely to be a KJD, which means you don't have work experience for that first summer jobs that you're applying to. I got most of the interviews that I applied to apply. When I submitted applications for summer jobs, I got interviews at most of the places that I applied to, and I got multiple offers that I was looking at for summer jobs. Right? And it's not a flex. That's just like, that's a consequence of taking the time to build your resume so that you come across as a serious person who has professional full-time work experience, not just internships.
Yeah, and I just think it's free practice, right? It's you're incrementally improving your reading ability every time you do an RC passage. You're incrementally improving your reading ability every time you do an LR question. So that's the reading ability that's going to propel you through law school and that's going to propel you into your career. Um, there's a reason that LSAT score is highly, highly, highly correlated with law school success and bar passage rate,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's like not us being snooty about you need to get a good score because we look down on certain scores. No, I have respect for every score on the spectrum. It is just a reality though that below a certain threshold, right? If you're in like the low to mid 150s, you have a starkly lower chance of passing the bar and becoming an attorney than if you were to get into the 160s and 170s. And that is just a fact. And that is not judgment. And we are not coming to any conclusion about anybody based on their score. We're just asking you reconsider. If you are listening to this because you typed into YouTube how to get a 175 because you're stuck at 150 and any part of you is considering throwing in the towel and just applying with your 150 or your
Oh,
152, right? I'm talking to you, right? That the
yeah.
person that applies to, we are talking to you. Take the time to get better now. Because if you do, you're going to improve your legal education outcome, you're going to improve your bar passage outcome, and you're going to improve your career outcome. It's super, super important.
You're also going to be a better person because you respected yourself enough to think you could go further.
Yeah.
There is a huge difference and I meet these personalities not just, through like students that I adore and respect and like want the best outcomes for. I meet different personalities that are at different stages of this kind of outcome, right? And when I talk to certain students that sell themselves out early in the process, they get they get that tunnel vision. And let me tell you, if you are facing like 6-figure debt, right? And going to school like behind, and that doesn't phase you out of your tunnel vision, that's never going away. And you will be paying for that time and time again in lots of places where you didn't even think the LSAT would impact you.
1L first semester is what, 3.5 months?
Mm-hmm.
You either figure it out or you sink.
Mm-hmm.
You also, though, have, and I tell my students this all the time, I call the LSAT 0L.
Yes.
You can take as long as you want to get 0L right. So that when you start 1L, you start 100 meters ahead on a 400-meter race, as opposed to starting 100 meters back and still having to finish in the same time. Everyone has the same amount of time to finish, and where you finish matters, but you have the opportunity to start so far ahead.
And you get to learn about like geological surveys and, fun historical people.
And jazz musicians. So
Right.
many jazz musicians that we learn.
But
so many jazz musicians.
Okay, we're laughing about this. But I want you to think of the subjects of some of the cases that you have read in law school.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just got done reading a case before this episode about a box top warranty on a computer program, right? All is laughing probably because she's read that same case, right? Like, I read property cases and I'm like, holy smokes, There's don't care.
A lot of tigers in court cases.
Like, Yeah, you're going to read things about subjects you don't care
There are
about.
so many cases in torts about railway crossings. And
railroads were a problem.
Yeah.
The trains kept hitting people. So
Yeah,
it turns out there are a lot of lawsuits.
No.
Like I tell, and it's funny. So I started with 1L, and the first week I was highlighting like a fiend. I had like 6 different colors in my book, taking notes. I'm getting all the details. I go to class and I'm like, oh my God, like they're asking questions. I'm like, yeah, I just know all of this, right? Like,
because you read it right
I know.
the first time.
And then after like 20 minutes of discussion, the professor's like, so this is the final takeaway. And I'm like, oh, I didn't get that. Like I didn't pick up on that. And then it kept happening. I was like, man, I was feeling so good. And then the last 5%, I'm like, oh, I didn't get all the way there. And then I was like, wait a minute. What if I just read like this was RC? And I put everything away and I just read the case and understood and refused to move on until I understood. And then went back and just made some notes to remind myself during class. Night and day. When I hear students say, wow, I hate RC, I'm like, well,
I got some bad news for you, brother. If you're listening to this, if you just typed into your search bar how to get a 175 and you are thinking in the back of your head, man, I hate RC, brother, what are we going to do?
There's a freeze face that I get when a student starts telling me that they hate RC, and I have to like go through my full like process of kindness. We got to hold hands and make sure that we're all safe. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I get it. It's valid. But like, brother, you're signing up for a job where your job is RC. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
A week of study is 400 pages of RC.
I'm in a clinic that's like 10 credits. That's most of what I do this semester. All I do is read.
Yeah.
All I do is read.
And it's probably
I do
not
different
all...
versions of reading. Either I'm reading something I wrote, which is honestly the worst part of reading, right? Where I read something that somebody else wrote, or a different version of what someone else wrote, right? Or I'm reading instructions from my supervisors. I'm reading like advice, like things about like how to work with. All of this stuff is... It's just that's it. It's English math, guys. That's what the LSAT is. It's English math.
Yeah.
And it's not all super enthralling work. Like even the stuff that you're doing at your job. And Alla loves her job, but I'm sure that like you have to read at something every now and then where you're like, this isn't super interesting, but I can do it.
But I have to do it.
I have to do
it. Yeah.
Right. And wouldn't you rather practice that skill and get good at that in kinder scenarios where there's no time pressure, despite the fact that you guys think there's time pressure? There isn't actually any time pressure. There isn't a client, right, that has a hearing in 2 weeks that you have to make sure that you're like all read up and an expert on by the time that comes. That's not actually happening to you on the LSAT. You're also not even legal passages aren't about the law. None of them are about the law. Students get really excited when there's legal passages because they're like, oh, this one I'm going to get, and that means I'm going to be a good lawyer, right? They'll do that. Even the legal passages aren't about the law, right?
Yeah.
No.
All of this is an opportunity for you to learn without like pressure, and also a way for you to learn how to enjoy the process so that you can carry that through to law school. I can guarantee you that even though I personally like felt that like a lawyer's like the only thing I could imagine myself doing, I have a huge guess that I would have ended up hating everything about being a lawyer because I was starting out, like Josh said, 100 meters behind.
And I want to emphasize that we're using language like behind or ahead. And if you're not a competitive person, you might be hearing that and going like, whoa, like this isn't for me. I want to emphasize, we are talking about competing with yourself. You don't have to necessarily outcompete your classmates, right? We all go to schools where people are already great. Like they're so kind and so smart and so accomplished. Some of our peers have, dazzling resumes and have done
like
so much
Rhodes
work.
Scholars and like
they've like started foundations that help people. Like they've like saved lives. Some of them, right? All of these are incredible people. Don't try to outswim them. Those are your peers. You need to outswim the best version of yourself. That's who you're competing against. And like Alla's been saying this whole point. Well, and I'm just stealing your point. You've been saying this all night, but like you're saying like you need to redefine the best version of yourself and make yourself realize that you can get there, right? And you can even achieve more than what you think the best version of yourself can achieve. You're competing against yourself. This is a self-improvement goal. This is a self-improvement journey. Wherever you start, you can improve, and it doesn't matter where you end up. It doesn't even matter where the people in your life end up. It matters that you know you can get better every day.
And it's about enjoying law school, right? Like,
well, it ends up being more fun when you're the best version of yourself.
Yes. It's you get 3 years to figure out what the heck you want to do, and not everyone even has that answer by the end of 3 years. But you just get to go learn and read and interact and rub shoulders with really smart people. And if you're just if you're trying to catch up, right? If you're starting behind of where you feel like you as a person should be, and you're trying to catch up and you're trying to learn how to read on day 1 of law school, and then you're getting cold called and you don't know the answer because you couldn't read it very well, like that's going to make that 1L year, you're going to just ask yourself, like, do I even belong here? And what a terrible question to have to try and answer while you're trying to read cases.
Within 20 minutes of my first class in law school, the professor had used both the words necessary and sufficient multiple times.
Yeah. Well, because when you think about elements, right, like elements of a ruling or elements of a statute, you need to know what necessary conditions are, folks. Yep. Turns out those are real things.
Yep.
I was shocked. I was like, I was like, if I didn't have a teaching ability of understanding what necessary and sufficient was, I would be flailing. I mean, I already struggling because 1L is hard.
It is
hard.
Right? But I was like, oh my God, this would have been so much worse. And that's why I keep teaching, is because I know, guys, I wouldn't be doing this with my time if I didn't believe in it, not just because the demon is great at what it does, not because the LSAT is good at what it does, but also because I have a selfish desire to be here, in that continuing to improve these skills, because I am still working on the LSAT, believe it or not. Right? All 3 of us, we get better at the LSAT every single day, and we've already aced it. Why do we do that? It's because we all know the value that it has for making us better communicators, for making us better synthesizers of information, and better problem solvers.
Yeah. And it's just so darn fun too. Like once you get pretty good, and this is the other thing, right? So again, I'm trying to remind myself of the question because I think I especially get sidetracked really easy. So if you're thinking about, if you typed in how to get 175 and this is what you're like on hour fucking 1 hour and a half of this, and you're like, okay, when the fuck are these people going to tell me how to get a 175? Like that, it's if you've been listening, there's little nuggets, but when you get a little better, it's less exhausting and more interesting to do the test, to do these little puzzles. They keep you sharp. They're really engaging, and it's ultimately we do enjoy it. But Alla's right, dude. It keeps me so sharp. I love it. I love to teach. I love to teach this. And secretly, if you can figure out a way to teach somehow, right?
Which is why I said study buddy.
Teach a study buddy.
Right? Teach a study buddy. They could be a peer, somebody who's getting the same score as you, somebody who's getting a higher score than you, somebody who's getting a low score than you. Doesn't matter. To explain a question to somebody. Explain a question to your cat. Doesn't matter if you can't find anybody to talk to about
Abby's
the LSAT
cat is
with.
really cute, by the way.
Yeah, explain it to my cat. His name is Cash, and he's a great listener. But if you can frame, and then the real advice here is if you can frame your review even in terms of, if I had to teach this question to a student, how would I explain why the wrong answer is wrong and why the right answer is right? If you're doing that in your review, it doesn't matter if you're with your study buddy or not, you're winning. That's winning right there.
Take a roommate.
Round. What'd you say, Josh?
I always tell my students take a roommate out for coffee. Yeah. Buy coffee in exchange for 3 LR questions and review 3 that you missed. It's my favorite.
My first round of study buddies, which was about 6 months, was with so I was in the 150s and I found someone in the 140s that I could teach, obviously for free. No one's paying.
Well, it's not really teaching, it's you're studying, but it's teaching.
Right. We were studying together and we were both getting benefit out of it. And then when I got into the 160s, Beth was at the time in the 150s. And then once she got up to me, I taught her RC, she taught me games. Right?
and then Beth got in the 160s and I was like, see ya. It's the Toy Story meme. Like, I don't want to play with you anymore. I need somebody in the 150s again.
I actually do tell a lot of my 160 scorers to go find students that are in the 140s and to spend some time with them, right? And the 140 scorers are typically eager to work with students that are in the 160s.
Yeah, they get benefit too.
How does your brain, right? It benefits them.
Yes.
But in that exchange, usually the student that gets more out of it is the student that's playing that I actually had a few students that I put into a group of study buddies just last week. And I had a student, and she's in the 160s, and she was like, Alla, this was such a humbling experience because, the other students had asked her like a question. She was like, I had no idea how to answer that. And I was like, thank you, God. Right? Like, that's it. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
want to have happen for you.
Yeah.
Dude, explaining your thought process on a question is extremely, extremely challenging, especially if you've never done it before,
Mhm.
right? So like the three of us, we've been doing this a while, so
Mhm.
we're okay at it. Right? I still improve every day. I get better every day. I
Yeah.
hope. Don't fire me, Ben and Nate. I love my job, but like when you do that for the first time, you're gonna be like, whoa. So like I can't just say I picked this answer because my gut told me to,
Mhm.
right? Or I can't say
Right.
I eliminated this answer choice because it just felt wrong.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't resonate with anybody. You have
Yeah.
to be able to articulate reasons for why you're doing what you're doing,
Hmm.
and that can be really, really eye-opening for a lot of people.
It's funny. People in law school will ask questions, and like sometimes you're sitting next to me, they'll ask me a question. I am thrilled. I'm like, please. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry to interrupting you. I'm like, no, this is great because if I can explain it to you, I can explain it on a final, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
please ask me as many questions. I'm not always gonna get it right, but I want to try. I'll answer anybody's questions and fall on my face if I need to.
This is
So
actually
that I
something
can
that's
learn.
really great to do towards the end of the semester. I mean, you guys are 1Ls, right? Like when you guys are taking practice exams, obviously take the practice exam before you meet up. But when you meet up, like
Yeah.
actually talk through the application of the rule from the case and
Mhm.
then see where you miss some stuff, see where you miss some nuance. Because these law school exams are written to be really hard because they got to put you on a curve, right? They're
Yep.
required to. And they make them really hard so they can put you on a curve. If you come out of a law school exam thinking it was easy, got bad news. I've gotten bad news many, many times
What,
myself. So,
Ala, can I ask you a question? What makes an exam hard?
Mm.
oh God.
Because my hunch is that it's kind of like the LSAT, where the only way to really make a reading test hard is to put more words on, like put a bunch of facts on the page, and then you end up getting confused because there's
Facts
so
that
much.
contradict each other,
Right, like there's
Yeah,
so
in
much on
terms
the
of legal
page that.
rules. Yeah.
right. I'm for sure not an expert on this. My GPA has a lot of room for improvement. Um,
But hey, you've done it, so
Yeah.
you're ahead of us there.
so this is actually a great testament for why you should spend time on the LSAT. Don't do law school to yourself without having done the LSAT because
Hmm.
there's lots of different ways. I think the main way is that the like students will think like, oh, if I just spot the issues, right? If I spot the problem, the things where I can apply the rules, they're generally obvious. Lots of times professors will even use like, if the case is about a certain topic, they'll use the same topic in the exam, right? Because they
Yeah.
want to be like very clearly like apply this case, please, right? Is what they're telling you. It's in like the nuance, right? There's a great book called Getting to Maybe. It's on my shelf. I've barely read it. Should really do that. It's 3L, but I'll get around to it at some point, right?
You've got 1.5 more semesters. There's plenty of time to learn from that book.
Getting to Maybe is great because it's about the worst answer to give on a law school exam is like just a yes or no, right? Because you got to
Mhm.
show your work. You have to be able to like walk through the nuance of a good LSAT, not LSAT, a good law school exam is written right on that gray area, right? Right on
Mhm.
that line between like yes and no, which is where
Mhm.
like the case splits. So a hard exam is going to really put you close to that line where you don't know which way to go. And it's not about the answer you give. Good law school professors will tell you this all the time. They're like, I don't care if it's a yes or no. What I need to understand is like, see if you can apply what we talked about with the case, right? What made the difference in the case
Mm.
to this new scenario and find all the little like twists and turns and find all the gray areas. That's my best answer without having looked
I
at an
appreciate
exam in
that.
a while.
Yeah,
That's the LSAT though. I
the
mean,
demons in the
Mhm.
details, right?
that's
Yeah.
right. Whose class has that name? Is it Robert?
I think so. Yeah.
Man, I saw that and I was like, dang,
Demons in the
Robert
details is
won.
such a
Like
good class
he's got
name.
the best class name.
Yeah, yeah.
Nate's Double Black Diamond is the other one that I'm like,
That's a good one too.
that's a good one.
We've had some good names in the past. We should like do a little Hall of Fame for names.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Well,
fun.
so Chris's new class, what was that? RC for LR majors was
Oh
so
God,
good.
I love that one.
Was so
I love
good.
that one.
Classic Chris.
But if you don't have a live subscription, go give it a try for a month. Go see some classes.
Yeah.
There's
Please
some
do.
really phenomenal teachers.
And if you're thinking like Abhi and Ala sound great, we'd love to do private tutoring with them. Don't do that. Go do live first.
yes,
Please.
yeah,
Much
Please
cheaper.
go
It's
do live
much cheaper
first.
and much more effective generally.
yeah.
Yes.
That's I always tell my student, like, if they don't at least have a premium membership, I'm like, you don't want to work with me yet.
No.
Yeah.
Go.
I talk myself out of a job. I don't care because, again, I am in what's in your best interests. I don't care.
But
about
Abby and I
Right.
teach classes, so
Yeah, we do.
come see
So,
us in class.
Come see us in class. But
Yeah.
again, it's I'm just recentering myself because I get distracted very easily. How to get 175? The answer is not private tutoring. The answer is not I have to spend a fortune to get private tutoring to get to 175. No, 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 no. Honestly, and I'll put the whole demon out of a job, right? Like there's a world where if you just rent it for free, if you just checked out like practice
buy
tests
the
from the library,
$7 LSAT is easy book.
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
no, literally, if you just buy the $7 book and then
99 cents on Kindle.
yeah, it's so
Shit,
cheap,
really?
folks.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, no
99 cents
way.
on Kindle. It's like
Link-
$7 on Amazon.
Linked below.
The link is down there. Literally, Jeff Bezos wouldn't let us drop the price.
That's
any
less
less.
than a sip of a latte.
Yeah, well,
Especially
depending
in
on the
DC.
coffee shop.
Yeah,
yeah,
especially.
depending on the DC. No, but it's like, folks, like, yeah, like, don't even pay us any money except for,
Please
buy
don't.
the book for $6. Again, that's not going to us. Jeff wouldn't let us lower the rate. Apparently, Amazon starts losing money below that price, but it's literally as free as we can make it. And then if somehow you get access to like practice tests, maybe a sibling has a book or something, or you borrow something or from the library or whatever, there's a world where if you just take our approach that we're giving to you for free, and then you just apply it to real LSAT questions, you can get a great score without any of this bullshit. So, come to live if you want to try it, and I think it's great. But
I do too.
obviously, I think it's a great value, and
I think it's
a
okay
great-
because I'm not teaching, but
Right.
no, I'm kidding.
Right.
Please.
Well, no, and Alla
please
will
get
teach
live.
sometimes, right? Like whenever she has the time, she'll teach a class. But again, that's not necessary either. Certainly, private tutoring isn't necessary. Will be my first email to every potential student is, "Are you sure?"
Mhm.
Right? Are you
Are
sure?
you a
The
premium
first
member
2
yet?
minutes of
That's-
every first private tutoring
Yes.
session is, don't do this. You don't need it. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're like, I have money to burn and like, I need your help, like I will do my best to help
Sure.
you, right?
Yes.
That's guaranteed. But you do not by any means need it.
And if you're just starting out, I don't want to work with you.
No.
Like I want you. And here's the other thing: go get live. Come to a live 15-minute coaching. Get set up on the right foot, free, included with your live membership. Then go to classes. Then if after a couple months you still want tutoring, then we'll talk. But
I do live coaching.
Alla does live coaching. Abby does
So
live
do I.
coaching. I run
so
the live
does-
coaches.
yeah,
I do not do them right now.
He's with us
No.
in spirit. In live
Yeah,
coaching.
sorry.
Every
I-
live coaching session has a force ghost of Josh in the background.
That's
like
right.
Yoda.
I pulled my calendar off like beginning of August, and I am booked through October still. So yeah, my Sunday afternoons are booked through October. But come join us. We're gonna wrap up. We're an hour and a half. If you're still with us,
God bless you.
God bless you. You're on the right path to a 175. I think the real answer. We probably should rephrase it to be real. It's not how to get a 175 plus. It's who you need to become to get a 175 plus.
Don't
It's-
rephrase it. That's the answer.
Yeah, that's
Don't
perfect,
rephrase
Josh.
it. That's the answer.
That's got to be. Put that clip put it in the TikTok. Put it in the TikTok.
It's who you have to become to score 175. It's and to summarize in a probably a way too superficial manner, you have to be someone who's a serious student who puts aside things like social media and digital and technology addiction in favor of something that's more important. You have to be somebody who wants to enjoy this test and looks at it as an opportunity to grow. And you have to be somebody who recognizes that this is preparation for the rest of your life as a lawyer. And if you take it and treat it as such, you get to see this not as something in the way of your legal career, but the start of your legal career. And so whatever job you're working while you're studying for the LSAT, legal or not, you are a barista and studying for the LSAT, you are in your legal career. And that's how to score a 175. So
The LSAT is easy.
No
folks.
notes.
LSAT
No
is
notes.
easy.
The LSAT is easy.
Thank you, Obby, Alla, both of you for all of your time. Thank you for all the listeners. You can find Abhi, Alla, both for live coaching. Abhi's got classes. Come join us over at the Demon. You can get a free membership, lsatdemon.com/free. Come join one of our live classes for free. Just come.
Buy the book, please.
Buy the book for
Buy the
99
book.
cents.
Yeah, 99
Yes.
cents or $6
Buy the book for 99 cents. LSAT is easy. All these will be linked below. Go join the Discord, find a study buddy, and just recognize that you can do this. We know that you can do it. And our hope is that you believe that you can.
And there's no shame and judgment here. We're all learning. That's what this is about, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Just reduce the resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you do get a 175, listener who stuck out with us for 90 minutes, go to lsat.link/apply and apply to work at the Demon.
Yes. Come teach.
Do a success story with us. We'd love to.
Come do a success story.
At the very least.
Send it in. I'd love to have you on the pod. If you have practice tests in the 170, come write, be an ask button hero. Come write that. Man, that'll teach you. There's so many opportunities. I think the biggest thing that I hope that you take away, we really do believe in this method, and we believe in what it does for students. So thank you all for listening. If you have any questions or would like to hear more from some of our top scorers, maybe we'll add a third part to this panel. The first one went really well, and this one was a blast as well. Send in your email, LSATdemon, or daily@lsatdemon.com, and thanks for listening.
Goodbye.